Welcome back to Auto Pulse, where we bring you the best insights into the world of military machines, automobiles, and everything with an engine. Today, we're diving into a legendary piece of armored warfare history of the M26 Pershing. This tank was a game-changer in World War II and beyond, marking a new era for American armored forces. So, buckle up as we explore the power, design, and battlefield legacy of the M26 Pershing. The story of the M26 Pershing begins with the realization that the U.S. military needed a more powerful tank to counter the increasingly formidable German armor on the battlefield. Throughout most of World War II, the American tank force relied on the M4 Sherman, a versatile and reliable tank but one that had become outdated in the face of German Panthers and Tigers. The Sherman, while effective against lighter armored vehicles and infantry positions, struggled against these heavily armored opponents, often requiring superior numbers or tactical advantages to come out on top. This disadvantage became increasingly apparent as the war progressed, leading the U.S. military to seek a tank with superior firepower and armor. The result was the development of the T-26E3, which was later standardized as the M26 Pershing. Unlike the Sherman, which was designed with mobility and production efficiency in mind, the Pershing was built to compete with the best enemy tanks on equal footing. One of its most significant upgrades was its armor protection. The M26 featured a maximum frontal armor thickness of 102 mm, significantly more than the Sherman's, giving it a much better chance of withstanding enemy fire from powerful German anti-tank guns. The thicker armor allowed the Pershing to survive encounters that would have easily destroyed a Sherman, giving tank crews more confidence on the battlefield. The tank's turret was also heavily armored, making it resistant to many of the high-velocity shells used by German tanks. Another major upgrade in the Pershing was its main gun. It was equipped with the powerful 90mm M3 gun, which was a dramatic improvement over the Sherman's 75mm and even 76mm guns. This weapon was capable of penetrating the armor of German Panthers and Tigers at reasonable combat ranges, allowing American tank crews to engage enemy tanks without relying solely on flanking maneuvers. This increased firepower meant that for the first time, American tanks had a weapon that could go toe-to-toe with the best German tanks of the era. The Pershing also had a coaxial .30 caliber machine gun and a .50 caliber heavy machine gun mounted on top of the turret, making it highly effective against enemy infantry and lightly armored vehicles. Mobility was another aspect where the Pershing saw improvements, though it was not without its challenges. The M26 used the torsion bar suspension system, which provided a smoother ride and better cross-country performance compared to the Sherman's outdated vertical volute spring suspension. This made it more capable of handling rough terrain, an important factor in battlefield conditions where tanks often had to move through forests, fields, and urban environments. However, despite this improvement, the Pershing was significantly heavier than the Sherman, weighing around 41 tons. This additional weight made it slower, with a maximum speed of about 30 km per hour, which was lower than that of the Sherman. While this was not a major issue in close combat situations, it did affect its strategic mobility, especially when it came to crossing bridges or being transported over long distances. The Pershing was introduced late in World War II, and as a result, it saw limited action in the European theater. However, the battles it did participate in proved its effectiveness. One of the most well-documented encounters involving the Pershing took place in Cologne, Germany, where an M26 engaged and destroyed a German Panther tank in a dramatic street battle. This event, captured on film, demonstrated the Pershing's ability to take on one of Germany's best tanks and win. Despite its late arrival, the Pershing made a strong impression, and many military analysts believed that had it been introduced earlier, it could have changed the course of many armored battles in Europe. After World War II, the M26 Pershing remained in service and played a crucial role in the Korean War. When North Korean and Chinese forces invaded South Korea, they brought with them Soviet-supplied T-34-85 tanks. The Sherman tanks still in service struggled against these opponents, but the Pershing, with its superior 90mm gun and better armor, was much more effective. In numerous engagements, Pershings proved their worth by successfully engaging and defeating enemy T-34s, reinforcing their reputation as one of the best tanks of their era. However, the Korean War also exposed some of the Pershing's weaknesses, particularly in terms of engine power and reliability. The tank's 500 horsepower Ford GAF engine struggled to provide enough power for the heavy tank, especially in Korea's mountainous terrain. This led to mechanical issues and a lack of mobility in certain combat situations. Because of these limitations, the M26 Pershing was soon replaced by the M46 Patton, an upgraded version that featured a more powerful engine, improved reliability, and enhanced mobility. While the Pershing's time as a front-line tank was relatively short, its impact was long-lasting. It represented a shift in U.S. armored warfare philosophy, moving away from medium tanks like the Sherman toward more heavily armed and armored main battle tanks. The lessons learned from the Pershing's design and combat performance directly influenced the development of the Patton series and later, the modern American tanks like the M60 and M1 Abrams. The M26 Pershing was not just a new tank, it was a statement of intent. It showed that the United States was ready to build tanks that could match and surpass the best armored vehicles of its time. While it arrived too late to make a significant impact on World War II, it played a key role in the Korean War and laid the foundation for future generations of American tanks. Its thick armor, powerful gun, and improved suspension made it a formidable opponent on the battlefield. And while it had some shortcomings, it proved that the U.S. could produce tanks capable of standing up to the best in the world. That wraps up our deep dive into the M26 Pershing. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like the video, subscribe to Auto Pulse, and hit the bell icon for more in-depth looks at legendary machines. What are your thoughts on the Pershing? Do you think it should have been introduced earlier in World War II? Let us know in the comments. Until next time, keep exploring the world of powerful machines.